Hey everybody, hey guys, how's it going? ThomasDiy here, and today we're going to be installing a Starlink satellite dish on a Starlink mounting pole. So with that being said, let's get started. All right, so let's talk about what we got going on right here. Okay, so this right here is the Starlink satellite dish unboxed. And right here we have our satellite dish itself. And the way the satellite dish works is it actually has a button on it, which is a quick release. So if we get down here, we can press this button right here, and this whole satellite dish will just lift right up out of here, out of the mount. And that goes in like that. Okay, so that's our satellite dish mount. Now this here bracket, we're not going to be using that because we're going to be putting the dish into a pole mount. But this right here is the Starlink cable, and they give you about 75 foot of cable. Now, what I don't like about this cable is the way they've actually manufactured this. So this right here is, let me show you guys right here real quick. So this right here is the cable itself right here that goes into the dish. And as you guys can see, that just pushes right in. That's a really easy way for that to essentially fall out and, just, yeah, essentially. So that's a bad design right there. I don't like that. There needs to be some kind of screw or something that holds that in place because you can just pull that right out. So that's the one end of the Starlink cable. Now the other end is this right here. They use this really funky design right here. Okay, look at that. I absolutely hate that because you got two different types of connectors here, which means you can only pull the wire one way, and that's this wire. It's this wire right here. You can only pull this through to the dish. Okay, so you have to pull from the inside of the house out to your dish, which means if you're doing an outdoor install where you want to hook up the dish first and then run the wire into the house, well, you can't do that because of the way these cables are made. Starlink needs to change that as far as manufacturing goes. We also have an Ethernet adapter here, which this comes with the Starlink dishes as well. This is a Starlink Ethernet adapter, and this is going to be needed right here as far as getting Ethernet and having a hardwire connection. These are like an extra like 20-30 bucks. It doesn't make any sense because see, this is the Starlink modem, and what they do is you got your power hookup in the bottom there, and then you got where your satellite plugs in, but there is no Ethernet on here. They should just include that. Now I just unplugged this. I've had this thing on for about a month or so now, and we're just getting around to doing the actual install. But this thing is hot as hell, so it actually worries me that this modem is as hot as it is. We also have these cables in here, which is the power adapter. Now as far as how we're going to do the install goes, we're going to use conduit. This is going to be 1-inch conduit. So these are 90-degree sweeps. We got two of these. One's going to go at the dish, one's going to go in our mining shed here. We also have this right here box, and this is going to attach to the bottom of the pole. There's really no way to put run a wire through the pole itself, but this hole right here is where the wire is going to come out, and then the rest of this is going to be buried. So what I'm going to do is we're going to cut this part here off, so that way this will go flush right up against the pole like so, and then we'll silicone around it and stuff, but that'll be up there against the pole like that. So this part will get cut off, and then we'll have the 90-degree come down into the concrete. Now as far as the way these poles assembly goes, is they have this recess up here at the top. And I don't know if you guys can see that there, but that you would think the pipe would slide into the pipe, but that's actually where the satellite dish goes. All right, so the way this dish here actually goes onto the pipe is you'd think that this here would actually slip into a pipe, but it's not like that. This here, the way they've designed this, is this goes in like so. Just slides in and it locks. That's how you install the satellite dish to the mount. So it's real easy. There's a button here, you push, press it, pull it apart, comes right apart. Okay, and the cable goes up inside of here like so, and then you can run the cable down the inside of the pipe or run down the outside of the pipe, your choice. But it's just slide it in and stuff like that. So make sure you put this pipe and stuff together, and note that this part right here is the actual top of your pipe when you put this stuff together, because you can put the pipe together incorrectly if you're not careful. And then mark the part of the pipe that's going to actually go down into the ground. That way you don't turn the pipe around backwards by accident when you're doing your install. So this is the top of your pipe right here. All right, so before you install your Starlink satellite dish, you got to first find a suitable location with no obstructions. So what you want to do is you want to first download the Starlink app onto your cell phone and open it up, and there's what's called check for obstructions. It's a tool, and a lot of people refer to it as a line, but what it is one half of the image on your camera is going to be kind of shadowed out black, and the sky, like looking straight up, it's going to be nice and clear. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your cell phone, kind of hold it up, and you're just going to kind of look around for any kind of possible obstructions that there might actually be, such as like trees or like antennas, anything of that nature, power poles, for example. So I was going to put my dish further down the hill and behind the mining shed. However, this power pole was actually an obstruction. So by moving the dish further up the hill, power pole is no longer an obstruction. All right. So just small changes or location and stuff like that to where you put your dish is how you avoid having obstructions. Okay. One very important thing to note is the location of your utility. So right here, I'm standing at a power panel. And if I turn around here, you'll see the power pole up there. Now, I'm going to put my dish right over here where the post hole diggers are. So I know I'm away from my utility lines there. But if you don't know where your utilities are, be sure to contact Miss Utility. Have them come out and actually mark your underground utilities. That conduit there is only going to be buried about 6 inches deep. So I'm not going to be nowhere near the power line. Power is probably about 36 inches deep. So I'm not going to hit that or anything. But where I'm digging with the post hole diggers, I got to be careful to make sure I'm not like the power line's not over that way, but I'm pretty sure I'm in the clear and stuff based on where I'm standing. So I'm just going to go ahead and dig down about 24 inches deep there, 24 inches deep, which is what's recommended by Starlink. And then I'll go ahead and dig my trench, which can be 6 inches deep. It's going to come into my mining shed. I got my 6 bags of concrete sitting right there in the mining shed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole over here in the corner. Call my wire. It's going to make sense for my wire to come up there. I was originally going to come in between the door and the window, but I chose not to do that because I'd have to wrap the wire around a door and stuff. But right back over here in this corner is where my switch was, and I was originally going to come up right beside my power panel there, but that just wasn't practical and stuff because of the skids. So we're going to come up right over here in this back corner right here where this other wires and stuff are already coming up at, which is my Ethernet. And I got 2 Ethernet cables now. I originally put 1 in. I got 2 here now. One runs from the mining shed to the house, which is for the Starlink. And then in the house, I have my dual WAN router, which has my DSL and my Starlink connecting to that. And then I have a wire coming back from that to the mining shed, which goes to all my mining equipment out here. So anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and start doing some digging. All right, so if you've never used post hole diggers before, it's pretty simple. Hit them in the ground, pull them apart, hold them, and then lift up, move on the side, drop. It's pretty straightforward. When you're digging a hole, one of the things that I do is I do a lot of like 30-inch holes and stuff, which is what code is in my area. Whenever you put post or anything in the ground, it's got to be 30 inches deep because of the frost line. So mark when your post hole digger handles 30 inches, and then just other common numbers that you typically dig, like what we're digging here today, 24 inches. So I could mark 24 inches on here or something. This post hole digger actually has a built-in tape measure coming up the handle, which is convenient. So I know exactly from this down. If not, just take a tape measure, stick it down on the ground. Pretty straightforward. I've pretty much drew a circle here, 18 inches wide with marking paint. I've also taken and spray painted down the length of the conduit exactly where the conduit was laying at. That way I have a straight line and stuff, so that way when I dig my ditch, I know exactly where I need to dig at, and I'm not guessing. Because what happens is you'll use a straight line, you'll try to dig, and then you cut your straight line or whatever, and it just turns into an aggravation. So just mark everything with paint, makes it a lot simpler. And if you try to guess at it or eyeball it, normally you just screw up. So spend a few dollars on a can of spray paint, makes life a hell of a lot easier. Anyways, let's start digging. And this is always a fun job. Great way to get yourself some blisters on your hand. So definitely make sure you got gloves on. Getting through the grass is the fun part. Put your dirt far enough away from the hole so that way it's not falling back in the hole. A lot of guys like to pout right beside the hole, and that just drives me nuts because it's always going back down in the hole on you, right? So put it off to the side and do that. The worst thing about digging any kind of hole is you're always going to end up hitting rock. And right now, I'll tell you guys this, I'm in gravel right here. So it's not really that fun digging this. And the ground's hard because it's kind of dry. I might need to go get a bucket of water. Like if the ground's real hard, because this is clay soil I have here. But if the ground's hard like what I have, what you want to do is get you a bucket of water and just pour it out, let it soak a while, and that'll soften that up, and just keep adding water to it as you dig. It makes it a little bit easier. But this is gravel I'm hitting right now. You can just hear it. All right, guys, so it took me about 15 minutes to go ahead and dig this hole here and stuff. We're down 24 inches deep. And one of the things I like to do when I dig a hole is when I get down to the very bottom of it, I like to take my post hole diggers and I like to dig in at an angle, okay? And I think that's really important to do with any kind of hole that you dig. When you're doing a porch, a deck, anything like that, just go in at an angle at the very bottom of the hole. It makes the bottom of the hole wider, but it means that it's locking in better, okay? And basically, it's kind of like you have like a you know, shaped like a T shape, an upside down T or something. And that way the base of it's wider than the top of it. So it's kind of like almost like a pyramid or something, or like a cone, right? So it's less likely to pull up. It's harder to pull up. So you have to dig away the topsoil in order to do that. So this is an 18-inch wide hole, 24 inches deep. I've widened the bottom of it just a hair, but now we're going to go ahead. We're going to dig this ditch down through here and get the bottom of this hole good and clean, get all the loose dirt and everything like that out of it. And then we'll be ready to go ahead and get our conduit and stuff glued together and everything, because we're going to glue our conduit together before we set our pipe. And when whatever the length comes out to be and everything like that, we're going to, you know, duct tape everything together. We're going to brace it, and then we're going to start mixing our concrete and pour it in the hole. And then the only thing that will really be left for us to do is just come out and install a satellite dish. All right, so I've been at it for about an hour now. Dug the ditch from the building all the way down here to the hole. Started here, kind of worked my way back, and just kind of hit a lot of gravel and stuff. And it just, you can't do it with a shovel. So I had to switch over to pickaxe. Just down here, I dug with a shovel. Shovel's pretty straightforward, but getting in here with a pickaxe, sometimes that's what you have to do. So I'm just digging my way along here, and I've already dug through here, which is kind of an inconvenience, but just basically I dig in. As you can see, I'm hitting a lot of rock. Switch over to that pick, flip it around. Now, when you're doing this, especially using a pickaxe, make sure you are wearing glasses, like safety glasses. The glasses I have on have the same type of carbon lenses that are in safety glasses, okay? Because where I do a lot of work like this, I make sure that the lenses inside my glasses are basically equivalent to that of safety glasses, just for doing stuff like this. Main thing with this stuff, keep your foot spread apart. Don't chop off your damn toes or chop off the side of your foot. Guys have done it, okay? So just be careful when you swing. All right, so to give you all a quick idea of what we got going on here is I finally got the ditch dug. And after I dug it, I went ahead, came back through here, raked the hoe through it just to get it leveled up and everything. And we got our hole over here dug, and the pipes down in it and stuff, but we're gonna have to do a little work here. That fitting right there, or the hole, that's where the cable is going to come into. I'm going to have to raise it up a little bit because my foot's right there where it should be. But the way I'm going to do this is I will not be able to open that plate up once I get the conduit and stuff run. But we're going to go ahead and come over here to the building, because you got to think about how you're going to do your conduit runs, how everything's going to tie together. So I'm going to start in the building. I got to drill a hole over here. We got our hole saw kit out right here. And I'm just going to come over here right now and just drill this hole real fast. And always take your time when you drill holes. You never want to make a mistake, because when you make a mistake when you drill a hole, there's no really nothing you can do to correct it. So get right in here. Let's go ahead and go straight on down with it. There we have it. So we got a hole drilled, and the thing about my drill is clicking is I had to clutch engage. I didn't have it set to drill mode, so y'all can tell there. So that was kind of why my drill was clicking there and stuff as I was drilling it. But we'll go ahead. I got a piece of pipe right here. This ain't glued together, but this piece of pipe's already cut. So we'll take this. We're going to drop it right down in the hole here, just like so. Well, went all the way through. Well, we'll fix that. Don't worry. It ain't. But I'm going to glue this up here first, which is the 90, and then I'll put that through the top. It'll catch on this. We'll glue it all together and stuff. So it's all about planning things out and everything. I might have cut that a little too short. I don't think I did, because once I glue this together, everything's going to fit together nice and snug. But anyways, let me go ahead and glue this conduit here together. I'm going to start off by gluing one piece onto here. We're going to run it this way, because by the time we get up to that end, we'll have an elbow fitting 90 degree like this, and then that other part here, this part here, will go on the top, so I shouldn't have to use any couplings or anything. So always think ahead when you're running conduit and stuff like that, and think about which direction you got to run it and stuff, so that way you don't run into any issues. or need couplings. All right, guys, so I got the ditch dug here. I got the pipe in it all glued together and everything like that. And we got it coming over here to our pipe and everything that's in the ground. So what I did was I took some electrical tape there, I wrapped around the box and everything there. So it's all taped up. The hole in the pipe is lined up with that box. And now all I got to do is just mix up some concrete and fill the hole. Make sure that this box here is actually above ground level, so that way you can actually take the cover off to get to your wire, to fish your wire and all that good stuff. It is. So I'm pretty much set as far as that goes. Now all I got to do is, as I said before, get the concrete there, mix it up and stuff like that. All right, guys, it's starting to get late here, so we're running out of time. But I'm going to go ahead and try to mix up 2 bags, and I need more. I'll mix up a few more, but I won't record that. And we'll get this hole filled up here tonight. So when opening up concrete bags, you can do it either an X method, or you can just cut open one end. It doesn't matter which end. I like to just cut open one end, get in there, and then very important thing is do not breathe. So a lot of times when I empty these bags out, I will hold my breath, and then I'll walk away so I can actually catch my breath to get away from all this dust and stuff. That right there is why you wear a respirator. Whew. Yeah, that's quite dusty. Now, a simple way to get the dust down, you get your water nearby, just do this. Get it out of the air, spread a little air. All right, there we go. All right, that solves that. So what we want to do here is we want to get this all mixed up real good. And when concrete is shipped, what ultimately happens is the sand and the mix get separated along with the gravel and stuff. And it just makes, yeah, so you have to do a lot of hand mixing and everything, get it all sorted out and everything here. So, but I do have a mixer, and I'm going to hand mix this because I just don't feel like pulling the mixer out. But we'll just keep adding a little water, and the water helps keep the dust down. So that's one of the main reasons we're doing it. If you add too much water, you'll weaken the mix. But you know, based on what we're doing here, I don't think that's going to really affect it too whole awful lot. But it's just one of those processes and things that really take time. The main thing is when you're doing this, like pouring around pole like this or anything, is you don't want it to be too wet, right? You want it to have some thickness to it, a little stickiness. And that's really important for one reason, and that is to get the pole to actually set straight. If it's real wet, it'll move around a lot. So you do want it kind of thick. And this is really where having good, fast setting concrete, works really well. There we go. So we're getting there. This is starting to thicken up. Let's keep adding water. Now, so you guys know I've done a lot of concrete work like this before. When we did the mining shed, I did the piers for that, but I also built this cinder block garage, land block myself. So I'm pretty much used to dealing with this kind of stuff. But if you don't get your mix right, that's completely all right. Okay, I wouldn't use any sleep over it. You're not trying to hold up a building, you're trying to hold up a pole. A pole that'd probably stand there straight if it was just buried in the dirt. So this right here, see how this is like real soupy? That's what you don't want, okay? But once I get the rest of this mixed in here, what's up in the bottom, that's fine. Now, I'm on a hill, and I'm standing downhill when I'm mixing this, because if the wheelbarrow wants to tip over, I want to be able to catch it, okay? So that's why I'm standing where I'm at. Ideally, I need to move over there, but I don't want this to fall over. So that's one of the reasons I'm where I'm at right now. Great way to break your shovel handle is rest your shovel handle here, pry it, and turn it like that. It saves you from all that scooping. But yeah, it's also a good way to tear your shovels up. I gotta get all this white powder in here mixed up. Next time I think I'm just gonna mix up one bag at a time. I'm trying to mix up 2 bags, it's just too much work, right? Now we got this in. Go ahead and take one scoop right down the hole. All right, critical step right here. We need to grab our level, and before we get carried away, let's double check our pole. Make sure that pole is good and level. It's level this way, not so much this way. It just wants to move around just a tad there. The more we get in there around it, the better it'll do. We'll just keep at it here, and we'll get it, don't worry. All right, guys, we're here on day 2 of our project. Mixed up the concrete last night, used 3 80-pound bags, got them down in the hole. Made the hole a little bit smaller than what probably should have been made, but we got the pole in here, and it's a little bit loose and wobbly. I don't know if it's just because this ain't really down in there or not, but it's sturdy in the ground itself. But this is the bad thing about poles. They do have a little wobble. Now, one of the things you can do, you can take a rubber mallet or a block of wood and just give it a tap on the top. Do not use a metal hammer for this. And what that'll do is that'll just kind of lock it in there so it's not as wobbly. That feels a little bit better there. Main thing is making sure that this is actually straight. It's not really a whole lot we can do now. That's level right there. It's a little off, but the bubble's still within the lines for the most part. It's just barely sticking over the one side. We look here on the very back. This is completely level here. So pole's basically in the ground. It's in here straight. I got to take this electrical tape and stuff off. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 250-foot fish tape here. We're going to push it down the hole into the building. We're going to pull the wire from the building out here and then up the pole itself. I'm going to pull all the wire out of this box right here first, and then I'll push the wire in the pole and then slide it up the pole. I don't think I'm going to be able to really do a lot of this on camera. The wind's up and stuff today, so it's definitely probably going to hurt the audio. But other than that, let's go ahead and get this cable and stuff run and get the satellite dish installed. Boring stuff like this is what most people don't really care to watch. But I'll tell you one thing: I'm sure I put enough damn tape on here. I'll tell you that. So there's the tape, and oh, that kind of sucks right there. There's a pretty good gap in there, but looks like our holes and everything right in there are lined up. So we'll go ahead and take this cover off. Hopefully this cover's not broken or anything, because I never have taken the thing off of here. Yeah, this is the first time actually having this off here. So we'll just lay our screws right there. Apparently I don't think they're going anywhere. There's our little gasket. That'll go right here inside of our door panel. So I'll make it watertight, and then I'll silicone around that to make it watertight. But there we go. So we got our 250-foot fish tape. We'll go ahead and take this, just stick it right down the hole. Take a few minutes to get this all the way run back to the building, but I got a cap on it inside in there, so I'll pretty much hit that cap whenever I go ahead and get the tape all the way through, and that's how I know more or less when to stop, because I'll be right there against that cap, and I'll have to come back out here and push it in a little bit more. So, but this is about a 30-foot run, so let's take a few minutes here. Look at that. There I am. There we go. I just broke through that cap. So I'm past the cap. Let me push through a couple of foot here so I have a little bit of room to work with. And I'll go ahead and go inside the build now. And we'll go in there and we'll tape up our wire and then start pulling it this way. So one of the things I hate about Starlink is the cable system that they use. They have 2 different fittings on each end here. And I think this is the dumbest design ever. They should just use a standard, codex cable, something like that. Instead, they want to make it all fancy and everything. I just think this is dumb. But I understand why they do it and stuff. So what Starlink needs to do for this, especially when it comes to stuff like what I'm doing here, wire pulling, is they need to make a special cap that fits over this that actually protects the wire and prevents you from, ripping the end of this thing off. So this really needs to be redesigned, especially for wire pulling. Personally, I would like to see some type of cap that you can fit on here that's actually got a hook on it that connects to the wire, and you can actually just pull on that hook, and you can just use the cap to actually pull the wire and stuff. So that would be something that would be really kind of cool to do. But each end of their wires need to be like this. They use a special design for the modem and stuff, which is dumb, which means you can only pull really in one way. But we're going to go ahead and take our wire here. We're going to put it on here. We're going to come up a little bit like so. And we're going to wrap this up with electrical tape. First, I think what I'm going to do, just to try to protect the end of this, is we're going to wrap this up here really good. I don't know if I have something I can really put around it. I'm thinking like a piece of cardboard or something to kind of maybe protect that tip there. So yeah, let's do it. Let's take a piece of cardboard like this. I don't know if this is going to fit in the hole or not, but we'll give this. We'll try to give this a little bit of a shot. There's a little tiny piece of cardboard there. Let's try that, and that can fold right over top that piece of metal there on the end of this, because you're pulling a wire. You know, this takes a lot of damage, and you don't want to really damage the tip of this. That's why I said they should make like some kind of cap that should be included with their wires, especially when they're selling this stuff. So yeah, definitely not something that's really good here. And then you got guys like me trying to rig up stuff like this just to do an install, and it's no good. It's just really no good. So all right, so we got the little piece of cardboard on the tip of our connector here. We're just going to wrap this up real fast. This should help a whole lot, especially on the doing our wire pull here. So all right, there we go. We got the tip of this thing protected. That's about as good. That right there is about as good as I'm going to be able to do as far as protecting this. So now we'll take our actual stuff right here. And typically what I like to do is I like to wrap knots and stuff around it. But, well, technically what you would do is you would run a rope through it and tie knots around this. We're just going to tape it here. It's a short pull, so hopefully there's not really a lot of resistance or anything. And I should just be able to pull it right on through, no problems. So this is just going to be a taped up pull here, and I'm just going to use the fish tape. But typically you would run a rope and everything like that, but I'm going to try to do it the easy way here. That way I don't have to grab a rope and everything else. So main thing is, like on the top of this right here, where this fish tape has this hook, I need to make sure that's in there good and tight, because it'll end up catching on the conduit as it goes up. Now, based on the way we ran our conduit, it actually makes a lot of sense to actually run, pull from this direction. So if you've got to pull against the joints, that's when it catches. So ideally you want to pull from this direction, so you want the wire to go this way. That way it's hitting these smooth joints and stuff in there, and the wire just kind of bounces off. So having our conduit going this way, knowing we're going to pull the wire this way, that's actually a bonus based on how we ran our conduit. Now, it's kind of one of those things that wasn't really planned out, but it's good to know that. So let's go ahead, go to the other end. We're going to grab our fish tape. We're going to start pulling this, try to pull this wire down. I got about 30 foot of wire here just laid out in the yard and stuff. That way as I'm pulling it, the wire itself, it's going to be free. I got it up here on this hook here. So that way the wire, as I'm pulling down, it's just kind of coming down here and it's going straight in the hole, and it's not cutting on that conduit. And really, one of the things you can do on the conduit itself is, if you have like a file or rasp, file the inside of that down so the inside of that conduit's kind of rounded over. That way it's not cutting into your wire or damaging your wire or anything as you pull. But if you feel any resistance, stop. When you're doing like electrical wire, stuff like that, sometimes you got to pull the hell out of it. But with a cable like this, I don't want to pull the hell out of it. I'm afraid I'm going to damage it. So let's go ahead and do some wire pulling. All right, so we're just going to take our time, just kind of keep on pulling here. Like I said before, I don't want to use a whole lot of tension. I just want to kind of pull it nice and slow. Just try to keep a smooth pace. That way the wire just kind of keeps on moving freely. And we'll see how well this goes here. I'm hoping this is going to be a pretty simple pull. All right, we're getting caught right there. Let me go back here and readjust my wire a little bit. All right, I gave myself a little bit more slack over there at the building. Look at that. You talking about beautiful. Look at how easy that was. That's probably one of the easiest wire pulls I think I've ever done. All right, let's see if we can get some more wire here. That's catching right there. I'm going to have to go get myself some more slack. But yeah, we got it all the way through. I need to be able to get it up to about right up here. So let's go ahead and get some more slack. All right, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pull this wire straight up or not, but I just grabbed the satellite dish here. Actually, I don't have to really pull the wire up really high, just maybe about, and it might actually be high enough. Yeah, that's probably enough right there, based on the way this thing goes, but I do have to go through the pipe and up. So let me pull just a tad bit more slack. Any slack I have, I got to take it out, but I might be able to wrap some of the slack up inside of this junction box here. So that's probably what we'll end up doing here. But anyways, let's go ahead, get this unwrapped. Probably take a minute here. And yes, there is no easy way to unroll electrical tape. You just got to take your time and unroll it, because you can't go through with a box cutter and start cutting, because you'll cut your wire. So yeah, this is the right way to do it. Don't try to use a knife or anything like that. And sometimes it really just does suck. All right, so there's that. Right, so there, and then here's the cap itself. Let's get this unwrapped. Hopefully we didn't damage this during the pull. A lot of times you'll damage the end of wires and you just cut it off. This, you can't do that. Oh yeah, that looks great. So just taking a piece of simple cardboard, putting over the tip of this, folding it over, wrapping it up real good. That worked out good. Just remember to do that. Do not forget your piece of cardboard there, because you could easily damage this. Now we're going to take this wire, we're going to push it up the pole. I don't know if this will slide up the pole or not. I might have to pull it, but we'll give it a shot here just to see. Got all this stuff in my way. There we go. My luck, it'll fall back down the pole once I get it out the top. Okay, that's all the way up the pole. Yep, we're off the top. So we got this out of the top right now. Go ahead and hook up our satellite dish. All right, so we got the wire in, it's up the pole. We got the satellite dish here. Let's go ahead and put this on. Move the camera there because I didn't think you guys could see me put the dish on or not. So this wire, all it does is it just pushes on. I do not like this design. I think they should change it. I think there needs to be some kind of screws here, because I think this is going to pull out over time. But when it locks down on the pole is going to push against it, which kind of keeps it from coming out. So, I mean, it's just, I guess it's just them trying to be slick, but really it's just, to me, it's just more one of them like, okay, is this thing going to actually stay together or not? So, and this is where the challenge is going to be here, is to get that wire at the bottom of the pole. So what we're going to have to do here now is we're going to have to pull a little bit more slack out, what I was afraid of. Because stuff like this is where you run into your problems right here and stuff. It's like, there should be a better way to do this. So let's go ahead and push this down in here, see if this locks. I don't think that's going to lock that away. Actually, maybe it does. There we go. Satellite dish is actually installed. So we got a complete install right there. Let's go ahead and take this wire down here. I don't know if I want to take the wire and pull it back into the shed, or if I just want to roll it up here in the bottom of the box. I think we're going to try to wrap it up here in the box and then just reinstall the cover, see if we can do that. That way we have a little slack right here, which would be good for like future service, or if I need to remove the dish or something. So let's just see if we can fold that up there and just tuck that in there. Oh yeah, that'll work. We'll just tuck that right in the box. Let's get our cover back on here and get our screws in. And then we just got a silicone around this opening right here. I don't really like that because of that down in there and stuff, but we'll see. We'll see what we got here in just a moment. So we got our screws going, drill here and get the cover back on. Right now we get the bottom. All right, so we got the dish here on the pole. Wind just blew over my tripod. So this is the issue right here that you're going to face. As you can see, there's just a little bit of a gap right there. I can stick my finger in there just a hair. I think what I'll do is I'm going to wrap tape in here and then silicone all the way up the side and down and around. I don't want silicone getting on that wire, because if I have to pull the wire out, I don't want it like glued, you know, like siliconed in there, right? So I don't want to pump that hole full, but I want to leave the bottom of the box open. That way if water does get in the pipe, it can still drain out of the hole, but I want it sealed up and down the side. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now real fast, I guess, and then we'll come back to that. But as far as the satellite dish mount goes, you can see right here, there's the fitting right there. And as I was talking about, I don't know if you guys can tell right there or not, but the way this wire pushes in, it latches right there. It's a little, you know, right there, and it kind of locks in place. Kind of hard to get the camera to focus right now. It doesn't want to focus. So that kind of gives you an idea right there. And then there's a push button right here, which is you can just kind of push that in and then lift the satellite dish off and it releases. So yeah, that's a pole install right there. All right, so I'm in the shed right now and we're just doing our final connections and stuff right here. So this right here, with the Starlink, you basically have your power and you have your main line that goes to your satellite dish, but there is no Ethernet. So you have to buy what's called an adapter like this, and then your satellite plug's in here, and then we have an Ethernet port here. So what I'm going to do is, I forgot to do this right here just a minute ago, but what we're going to do is we're going to take this wire, I'm going to fish it up through here like so, and I'm going to loop this back around one more time here just so everything doesn't fall on the floor, sadly. Yeah, this is my wire management nightmare. I think probably be the best way to describe this. So we'll go ahead and loop this through like so. This can be unplugged here, and then we're going to plug in to our Starlink modem right there like so. That'll plug in our adapter. And then the main line, which is this right here, going outside, I guess, to the satellite dish right here, this will plug in to the Ethernet adapter here. The Ethernet adapter here like so. So that's how we have that hooked up. And then we have to plug in our Ethernet. Now this is our Ethernet line here. This is direct berry line. This goes to the house, okay? I do not plug directly into my switch here, but let's say, for example, if my internet in the house goes down or my router in the house goes down or something like that, because I have a dual WAN router, what I can do is I can just plug the Ethernet cable into this and then plug it straight to my switch, and then we have the mining operation powered. But we're running the Ethernet to the house, to a dual WAN router, and then we're running it back to the mining shed. And the reason I'm doing that is because I do have security cameras, so my DVRs and all that kind of stuff is actually inside of the house. So now we're going to take our power adapter here, we're going to run that through, bring that up right here, and then we'll plug that power adapter right here into the bottom of our Starlink modem. We'll take the Starlink modem and we'll be careful to set it here on the shelf on our server rack. I'm going to bring this wire around here somehow. Got a ton of wires here, it's just a big mess, as you guys can tell. But we're going to bring this down and around, loop it around, bring it up, see how we do this here. And then I need to make sure I have enough to get up here to plug in. So we'll loop it one more time right here, and then what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and I'll plug this in. So let's go ahead, set the camera up outside. I'll do my plug in and everything after I get my tripod set up outside. That way you guys can watch the dish align itself, right? So that's the money shot. All right, anyways, let's move the tripod. This is all hooked up. The only thing left to do is just plug it in. All right, guys, so we got the satellite dish fully installed. We're going to go in the house now, do some speed test. Satellite's up and running. Got to silicone some joints, backfill the ditch and stuff. I'm sure you guys don't want to watch any of that. But anyways, we're going to go inside, do a speed test. And as far as changes that Starlink needs to make to their equipment and their setup, I recommend 1-inch conduit if you're going to do an install like this. But they should make a special fitting or adapter that fits to 1-inch conduit that can then connect directly into the pole and actually fits together. That's something that Starlink should do versus trying to have to silicone what I'm doing here. The other thing is the cable. It needs to have the same connectors on each end. I highly recommend that Starlink actually manufacture a direct bury cable, because this cable is not rated for direct bury. And as you can see, the satellite dish is still aligning itself, so it's still trying to get a good pick up a good signal and stuff. So until it locks in, you know, that's the thing. But one of the things that I am concerned about with these type of dishes is that motor. I'm afraid over time these motors are going to burn out and people are going to have to replace them, and that's definitely a concern. So one of the things that I think Starlink needs to reconsider about their satellite dish designs is there should have screws on the back of this. There should be a mounting plate here. So this should have a mounting plate. It's got a rubber gasket seal. It's got 4 screws that come out, and then you can actually install a replacement motor. I think that's definitely one of those things that's going to, you know, people are going to complain about here probably in the next few years, is they're going to be saying, look, our motors are burning out on our Starlink satellite dishes. What can we do? And then, you know, people just don't have that type of alignment or anything like that. And it's going to be a big problem. There's going to be a lot of people complaining about that. So the only solution, replace the entire dish. In my opinion, it should be as simple as just taking 4 screws out, removing that motor, putting a brand new motor in, and guess what? It's good to go. So definitely something Starlink needs to consider. So But with that said, let's go take a look at our speeds and wrap up this video. All right, guys, so we're in the house right now at the computer, and we're going to go ahead and do a quick speed test and show you guys what kind of speeds you can expect with Starlink. So we'll go ahead and run a speed test right here, and your speeds are going to vary. You're supposed to get about 100 megabytes download, but that's not always the case. You're going to probably get at least about 30 megabytes download or better. So my speeds have never really been below 30 megabytes download. They've always been higher than that. And, you know, it kind of goes up and down. It spikes like every couple minutes and stuff. So it'll go down, it'll shoot up, it'll go down, it'll shoot up. But the main thing you want to look at is your latency right here. I'm getting 37 milliseconds, which is really good. I had DSL for the longest time. With my DSL plan, I was getting 10 megabytes download and 1 megabyte upload. With Starlink, I'm getting like 100 megabytes download and, you know, 10 megabytes upload, which is crazy, right? And my latency, it's pretty much the same as if it was like if I had DSL or something like that. DSL might be a little bit better, but I mean, it goes up and down and it varies also. So to give you guys an idea of where I'm actually located is I'm located in West Virginia. So based on where you're geographically located is also going to affect your speeds and things also. But right now, you just seen I tested at 138 megabytes download. That's crazy, right? And now my my upload speed looks like it's almost 10 megabytes on my upload. So that's what I'm saying. The speeds just they jump all over the place and stuff like that. They're up and down, up and down. But I mean, you're still getting really good internet and stuff if you do go with Starlink. Now, me personally, I'm keeping my DSL as well as Starlink, which kind of sucks. Because one of the problems with Starlinks is you are operating off of a proxies, which means you can't do like kind of like hosting or anything like that from home. You can't really host on your network. If you're familiar with a like Helium hotspot mining, which is, you know, where I'm invested in cryptocurrency, you can't use Helium hotspot miners with Starlink. It's just one of those things that it puts your hotspot miners into a relay, which just doesn't work. It doesn't benefit the network or anything like that. So you actually have to have some kind of like ground-based internet where you have an IP address and stuff, which Starlink doesn't offer right now. I think they're offering it on their business class plans, but I mean, if you want to pay $5,000 or something like that for a business plan, then knock yourself out. I mean, I'm not doing it because I can't afford that, and I don't think most of you guys watching and stuff can either. Okay, so it's crazy. But for everyday users, people who want good quality reliable internet, Starlink's definitely a way to go. There has been a lot of complaints here recently as more and more people are getting on the network is getting congested, so speeds are really dropping and people are starting to complain about that. I think Starlink will probably end up opening up more locations and stuff across the country to reduce that congestion, and that'll, like, you know, basically resolve itself over time more than likely. But they're just getting so many new customers now, it's just kind of overwhelming their network. So they'll have to kind of, you know, do a little tweaking and stuff. But, you know, overall, I think the network is going to be great and stuff. And, you know, you never know. I mean, Elon Musk said it himself. There's a good chance that Starlink could go bankrupt. They could run the company through the ground and stuff. So, you know, with that being the case, you know, definitely if you have like DSL like me, definitely keep your subscription plan to your DSL as well as your Starlink and stuff, because you don't know. I mean, Starlink could go bankrupt. It could go belly up as a company. So I'm rooting for them. I mean, I love the internet service. I've been using it for several months now, just so you guys know. So this ain't just like, oh, I just got on here, started testing it. I've been using it for several months. And right here, I just done another speed test. Basically my ping's a little high, but you know, my download 113 megabytes download, my upload is 15 megabits, and I still have DSL. So if I want to do some gaming or something like that, my Starlink ping's kind of high. I can just use my DSL versus you know, Starlink. But overall, I'm using Starlink as my primary internet provider. And as I told you guys before, I have a dual WAN router, which means I have a router that can have two internet connections plugged into it simultaneously. And when, let's say, like if Starlink goes down due to bad weather or something like that, my DSL automatically kicks in. Okay. And we had a severe thunderstorm the other day. It knocked Starlink out for probably about a half an hour and stuff or so, but after that it came right back up, and I mean, I ain't had no issues with it. So for anybody who's interested in getting Starlink, getting it set up and all that stuff, it's definitely worth the investment. It really is. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.